there guys, Erica here from Highway 49 RC. Thank you to my patrons and channel members for making this video possible, and to all of my loyal viewers. Thank you guys so much. So today's video is going to make a lot of people really happy because, yes, I finally have broken down and decided to do something about my splash. This is my water-cooled Traxxas Slash 4x4 for those that aren't familiar with it. Did a 10-part series on it about a year and a half ago. And today is episode 11, or maybe the epilogue, I'm not quite sure, but I finally decided to put some new electronics in it. Yes, so I am going to be chucking in the Axial Vanguard system out of my Axial Yeti. It's basically a rebranded Castle Sidewinder 3 ESC. Not sure what the motor is, but it's a 4-pole, sensorless, brushless, 3150 kV. The motor is a little bit longer than the motor that's currently in the Splash right now, the stock Traxxas Valinion. So I'm going to have to make a new water jacket for it, but that's okay. I got some more copper tubing to do that with. I might do 4 wraps this time instead of 3. We'll see. I also picked up some 3/16 diameter silicone tubing, along with some 3/16 Y fittings and brass NPT fittings for the tank. So basically where the main lines are, it's going to be the bigger 3/16, and then where things start to branch off, it'll go down to 1/8 of an inch. The problem with our new ESC is that the old water block that we had on here before doesn't fit between the motor connectors and the capacitor bank up at the top here. So that means we get to have a little bit of fun and make our own. Oh yeah. So here's the plan. We're going to use the existing nipples off the old water block, do a zigzag pattern in a piece of flat rectangular aluminum like so. It's going to be 1/8 of an inch wide, so that'll be pretty easy to machine out. There's going to be a piece of 1/8 inch aluminum that then slaps over top of all of this to seal it with a gasket. We'll have to make a gasket for it, of course. So that's the plan. I'm going to start with the water block. I'm going to find some aluminum to make it out of, grab my tooling, and head out to the garage and get started. Hey, let's go. That looks pretty good. Full depth of cut on an 1/8 inch by 3/16 end mill. Based on my chips, I feel like I kept my feed rate pretty even. That's pretty good for by hand, especially with such a small mill. Okay guys, check it out. This is my finished water block. Looks very nice, holes line up. Inside channel also looks very nice. If I did this again, I would change the way that I did this little section up here. Because, as you can see, I had to drill farther into the main block so that there would actually be space for the coolant to flow. Additionally, I would leave this little portion solid. I would not do this little spurt to the side. Because there's very little sealing surface for my gasket right here between the channel and the hole. But also because there's literally only like 2 threads holding these nipples in, which is really not good. And even on this side, I adjusted my hole location slightly, and so I have even less of a sealing space. So if I run into problems, I will remake this, but for now, it looks pretty darn cool. And additionally, it fits on my ESC quite nicely, but obviously we don't want those heatsink fins on there, so we now get to move on to the fairly nerve-wracking part of possibly destroying a Castle ESC, aka milling the fins off so the water block sits down nice and flush. I still can't believe this is the 3rd ESC that I'm actually doing this to. Dear God. that, Castle. Yeah! And look at that, our water block fits in there very, very nicely. Looks like I probably could have made it a little bit wider than I did, but that's okay. Gonna have to clear out a little bit more of the plastic so that the nipple's clear, but otherwise, looks great so far. And there you go. I'm very pleased with the little thing. It fits on there super nicely, very low profile and compact, which is great. Very lightweight as well. All that's left for me to do with it right now is just make a gasket for it to go between the cover plate and the lower portion. But what I really need to start thinking about is where on earth this is going to go on my splash and how it's going to bolt on. This is the existing layout of my electronics and water cooling components. So first things first, swap out the motor, of course, because the new one is slightly longer. And that'll get a new water jacket in a few minutes. So ta-da, just like that. This box is going to stay where it is, but we're going to sand the crap out of it to make it a little bit shorter, so make things a little more compact. My cooling system relay, that is future Erica's problem. This ESC, obviously, we're getting rid of. And then we need to put my new ESC in somewhere. And that is going to sit right on top of the servo here. Well, this way. But that's what the new layout is going to look like. So we'll have motor, electronics box, and ESC all in a line. As far as mounts go, my electronics box is not going to be able to use the same mounting holes on the chassis as before, so I'm going to make an aluminum plate that'll basically just sit down here in the base of the chassis and it'll bolt to that. And then for my ESC, the plan is I'm going to make a plate that kind of floats directly over top of the servo here, and it'll get screwed in with some standoffs to these two holes, as well as the 4mm bolt here for the front subassembly. I don't know about you guys, but I think that sounds like a pretty good plan. Like I said, the cooling system relay and the water pump are going to be future Erica's problems, so screw her. And I'm going to go out and get started and see what I can whip up. Check it out, guys. ESC is clamped down by the water block to my bracket. You gotta admit, that looks very, very clean. I like it. And bada bing, bada boom. There's my lower mounting plate. I think it looks fairly snazzy, and my electronics box fits between there just perfectly. Sanded the crap out of it, and it fits just absolutely gorgeously right there. The wires will come out this side, they'll be protected from everything, and then I have this entire channel just along the side for running wires and hoses and all that jazz. I also made a gasket for the water block and made some little spacers for the nipples so that I would get basically full thread engagement on the water block because there's so little there. I want to make sure that I get as much as possible. Seal it up with a little bit of blue Loctite. Hopefully that is good enough. I mean, we all know what blue Loctite can do to steering knuckle bushings, am I right? Oh man. So with all that taken care of, it is time for me to break out the copper tubing because it is time to make a water jacket for my new motor. Now, I could use the water jacket off of the old one because it does fit, but the new motor is slightly longer, so I want to add an extra couple lines of thickness to it. And I also want to make it with 4 tubes wrapping around instead of 3 to get more flow rate and also to help kind of divvy up the fluid a little bit more evenly. And I mean, come on, water jacket. Yeah, let's get right into it. Check it out, guys. Isn't that pretty? Man, this is easily the best water jacket that I've made to date. It's just so clean. All the bends on the tubing are just, you know, spot on. So clean and streamlined looking. I love it. Man, this thing is sweet. See, I told you we needed to make a new water jacket. With that done and out of the way, my next task is to tackle this catastrophe. I need to get my electronics all sorted out, arranged, wired, back up properly. I did not disconnect anything, so I should be good there, but I'll have to see how it goes. Wiring has been successfully reorganized. It's still a little rat's nesty up near the relay, but all in all, it looks much better than it did, much more organized, and easier for me to understand too if I ever have to go and work on this again. Routing done on this thing, and I gotta say, this looks so much better than the first time I did it. Everything is so clean, all the wiring is tucked away nicely, it's way more orderly in my opinion. The things that branch together are all a lot closer together, so there's not a lot of extra lines running every which way. So of course, before we take it out, I want to do a quick leak check, so hopefully we don't make too much bigger of a mess than we already have here. All right. Sweet. That looks a lot better than before. I don't know if it's just me, but I think that flow seems a bit better. It's coming out cold. I think it's coming out cold. Yeah, guys, this is actually so cool. It's coming out colder than the water in the bucket. Like if I put my finger in there, it's, you know, very room temperature and like bland. That is way colder. That is so cool. No leaks on the water block yet, so that's good, but we're only really gonna know with time on that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the water purged out of here and get some actual coolant going around in the system. That's all the coolant that I've got in that bottle, so I think we are good to take this thing out for a test run. Everything's looking good. I don't see any leaks just yet. So with that, I guess I'm gonna charge up a battery and head to the park, see if we can get this thing to run to LiPo cutoff. I am back down here at my favorite little testing spot. And it's finally time to see just what this brand new motor, ESC, and cooling system is capable of. And away we go. Let's see what we can do. Well, that's not exactly what I anticipated. Did I not tighten my pinion gear? God damn it. Turns out I left my motor loose. Come on, and the one time I didn't take screwdrivers. I've learned my lesson now. And of course, on top of it all, as soon as I go back down there, the baseball kids are there. Gah, come on. But now we can really see what this motor, ESC, and cooling system is capable of. What the fuck? Okay. Seriously? My god, I'm such an idiot. I'm sure every single one of you can tell me exactly what's wrong with this picture. My gosh, I'm robbing a screw off of somewhere else though to make it happen. Now you go. You go forward now, okay? Got it? Good. Oh yeah, that's more like it. Wow, this thing wants to move. All right. Now we'll just gotta see how long it lasts. Holy cow, okay, this thing's got some power. The wiring is hot. Water block is warm, and the motor is warm, but not terribly hot. The connectors, though, are very hot. Battery connectors are very, very, very hot. To be totally fair though, I am putting so much load on this system right now. Tall grass, super, super freaking heavy aluminum wheels. I think that might have been LiPo cut off. Let me see. Super heavy wheels, tall grass, 10-pound rig. I mean, I am just loading these electronics like nothing else. So as I'm sitting here letting this thing cool off, I was thinking about it. This is basically a Castle ESC, because it's just a rebranded Sidewinder 3. So in theory, I should be able to hook it up to Castle Link and adjust my punch control. If the battery wires and connectors are getting hot, the ESC is asking for too much power now. So if I can adjust my punch control down, that could help a little bit on battery draw. I don't remember what LiPo cutoff on this ESC looks like, but it is getting slow. Yeah. All right, I think that's LiPo cutoff, so that's cool. So I went back home, set my punch control to 40%. Figures probably a good happy medium, like I didn't want too much, but I could probably limit it a bit more. Maybe I'll try 60 or 70 one of these days. But overall, I would say it ran better for sure with the punch control. I just got done with my run. Temps are 104 and 85. Really cool to see that it's actually working. The motor and ESC are totally touchable. Without the cooling components on them, I bet you they'd be cooking hot. My battery connectors are extremely hot. Similar to the way they were before, like I was saying, but not as bad this time. Touching the ESC wires and the battery wires themselves is, you know, they're not hot. They're a little warm, but it's okay. The big heat point is right here at my battery connections. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate this guy here for my cooling system power and solder the power directly to this guy. So then there's only one set of bullet connectors between the battery and the ESC. So anyway, I would say that this thing runs pretty well. It'll actually go through a battery now, and when I got home to charge my battery after the first run, it put 4,500 mAh back into the battery, which is a lot, and it ripped it down that far in under 20 minutes. Probably under 15, to be honest with you. Like, this thing is pulling so much power, and I gotta say, it's doing pretty well. These are also 50C discharge batteries, so that's kind of not helping my connector temps, but for now, it's usable, which is great. I was looking at this thing, and I'm like, wait a minute. Where's my rear bumper? I totally forgot to put it back on. Oops. This thing took a few tumbles as well. Well, we're back in the studio now. Obviously, my workbench is a complete catastrophe. But hey, that means we had fun, right? Oh yeah. So, the splash ran really nice today. I am absolutely pleased with it. Really thrilled that it went through a whole 3S battery. Those are 5200 mAh. Just for reference, this thing dumped those down in probably 15 minutes or less. Yeah, this thing pulled a ton of power. So the cooling system keeping up with the ESC and the motor under that much load is pretty impressive. So speaking of power, this thing will not go from a standstill in that tall grass. If it's just sitting there, it won't go anywhere. So I need to up my startup power a little bit. Just a little bit more ESC tweaking and tuning to do, which is no big deal. The water block so far is not leaking. The O-ring on my coolant tank is leaking. So I will need to fix that, find a replacement for it. But all in all, I am really thrilled to have this rig running again. I now feel like I can actually put a little bit of work into it, get the drivetrain cleaned up a little bit because it's really sloppy. Some of the suspension's really sloppy as well. So this is now, to me, worth putting time and effort into, which is great because it's been sitting on the shelf and not getting used because it literally won't run through a full battery. But now it will. At this point, I'm rambling, so my apologies. But I hope you guys are as happy as I think you're going to be that I got some new electronics in this thing. So with that, if you did enjoy, please do leave a big fat thumbs up. If this does happen to be the first video that you have seen by me, make sure you go down, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment down below if you're looking forward to seeing some running videos of this rig. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member or join my Patreon. Links for those are in the description. And if you're looking for friends to hang out with and get advice in the RC hobby, check out my Discord. And if you want some more behind the scenes pictures and such, like I posted for this, check out my Instagram. As always, links are in the description, guys. Thanks again so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.